Hey there, boys and girls and dudes of all teenagers. We are here to talk about a random topic. This is just something I came up with while sitting around in my room staring at stuff. Um, this is going to be 10 movies I've seen 20 times or more. Now, this is a weird topic. The numbers here completely random. Um, so that's 10. This is like a slot of 10 movies that I've seen more than 20 times. And this is not the only movies I've seen more than 20 times, but these are the ones that, like, I literally went to my DVD shelf and I picked the first 10 that I know I've seen more than 20 times. I could probably do it. I could probably do sequels to this video if you guys are really interested in, but I just grabbed all the ones that were readily accessible. But there's a lot of stuff that you'd expect from me in here because I've talked about movies before. So we'll start with those ones, the ones where you guys know it's going to be in here. So let's do that. First one, of course, it's here, is Nightbreed. I've seen Nightbreed, I don't even know how many times. It's a movie I've seen so many times. I know basically every line. Not of this version because there's new stuff, but of the original version, I can basically say it word for word. So I've seen it so many times. And a lot of the time, what I end up doing with movies, what I used to do with movies, is that I had a small TV and a game system hooked up. Well, it's not a TV, actually. I had a Commodore monitor and a game system hooked up to it, probably a PlayStation 2, I'd say. And what I would do is I would play, before I went to sleep, I would put in a movie and put it on repeat. So, like, while I was sleeping, a movie would be playing. But, so, I'd get to sleep by listening to the movie, and then, if I woke up, a movie would be still playing. Well, I don't know, it's just a thing. I don't do that anymore, but I used to do that. And Nightbreed was in the rotation, so like I'd often just put it on before I go to sleep and listen to a big chunk of it or all of it and just play it on repeat. But it's the kind of thing where like a lot of these movies are from that rotation. So another one that I've talked about before, probably I should talk about even more extensively, They Live. So They Live is a classic, kind of a classic. It's got Rowdy Piper. How could it be bad? Don't post about all the bad Rowdy Piper movies. There's like 100. But this is the good Rowdy Piper movie. This is They Live. It's the it's tangent already. Another good Rowdy Piper movie is Hell Comes to Frogtown. Oh, don't get me wrong. It's not like a high budget quality movie. It's like awful B movie, but it's so fun. So that's another good. But They Live. This has become like a meme at this point. Like, they put on the sunglasses. Here's your like little buy sticker. Consume, that kind of thing. It's become like Obey. It's become like clothing brands and like basically a meme. Everybody knows this movie. I've seen it a million times. Another movie I basically know word for word. It's pretty great. You have it kind of hits a lot of notes for everything. So it hits, for me at least. I think I could see a lot of people not liking it. And I'm sure there are people who don't like it. They've got bad taste. But this movie hits a lot of the good notes. But I've talked about it a bunch already in previous videos, so I'm not going to like talk about They Live that much. And plus, everybody's seen it. Another one here, Videodrome. So this one is not an easy movie to watch 20 times, but I know I have because I've shown it to so many people. But also, like, it's like such a weird movie. But it's also a movie that kind of gives you a feeling of, it's just like, the whole thing with the body horror of it is really disturbing in a lot of ways. So the concept of Videodrome is disturbing. Like all the things that happen to James Woods' character in this movie is like off the wall crazy, and it kind of hits a lot of strange notes with conspiracies and like kind of corporate craziness and just all this weird things happen. And you've got like a lot of kind of classic lines like and you know classic characters in this. It's just like a really well put together movie. It's David Cronenberg. He I think like everybody knows David Cronenberg from The Fly, but Videodrome I think is a superior movie. But those are the ones I've talked about a lot. But some of these are just kind of random movies. They're not all like kind of horror movies. The next movie we have here is Little Shop of Horrors, which I said is not a horror movie. It's kind of a horror movie, but it's a comedy. It's a musical comedy horror movie. So, but this is a movie I really liked when it came out, and I used to have it on VHS at my house when I was a kid. So it was a movie I like a lot. It's got a lot of like, I like horror. I've always liked horror, and it's got murder. It's got killing and blood and catchy songs and funny characters. My favorite song from Little Shop of Horrors is the Dentist song. If you've never seen Little Shop of Horrors, just look up Little Shop of Horrors and Dentist. It's really good. It's a really good song, but also it's funny. The Dentist is played by Steve Martin in this, and spot on good. So this is a movie like, again, I probably know all the lyrics, but like actually, the songs I definitely know all of the songs. So like I could sing all of the songs from this movie, but it's just such a good movie that and then this is like the remake version here, but it's got like everything that I like about kind of crazy movie is in here. It's got this ridiculous concept. It's got like cool puppet like animatronics going on. It's got wacky characters. It's got catchy music. It's just such a good movie. Speaking of that, here's another movie you probably aren't expecting, but it's got a catchy song. This is That Thing You Do. And for some reason in high school, a select members of my friends were like really into this movie. When did this movie come out? 1996. So that would be like my senior year of high school. And, after that also. But like there were people who were really into this movie. And I wasn't super into it, but like some people really were. And they watched it a bunch. And I kind of thought like it's a pretty good movie. But I know I've seen it a bunch of times because it's kind of like a good date movie if you want to like watch with another person. I know I have like a million times, but also it's just got like a fun kind of, it's a fun story. It's not all fun, but like there's funny characters. The second guitar player is really funny. He's kind of like a lovable idiot. Drummer is kind of the main character. The singer is kind of a douchebag. It's, the bass player is just a random dude. His name is TB Player. He doesn't even have a name. So it's the kind of thing where like this movie, it's, I think Tom Hanks wrote and directed it maybe. I know he directed it, but like he's in it for briefly, but he's their manager of the band that's in this movie. But like it's a kind of a weird look at a strange time. So like it's the kind of 50s, 60s, I want to say. It's got to be 60s. But like 1964, it says in the box. So 1964 is the time. But like it's a weird time when like music is like really run by companies and like a kind of really corporate, not like a big corporate though. Like it's kind of 60s corporate. So, it's a weird look at that kind of thing where like, they start this band, they have a hit, and then like everything just they get kind of ground down by the corporate like idea of it, and then they end up breaking up after they're basically a one hit wonder. And it's kind of like what happens to them. It sounds like a drama, but it's actually like it's just like kind of a goofy romance. It's a good movie though. Next we've got The Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club is a movie I think like probably if you're like around my age, which is old, you you if you're of a certain age, you have seen this movie probably 20 times just from it being on television. Um, Now, this is a movie I've seen a million times, but like actually having it on this in this format, it came with like a free digital version, and like the free digital version makes it even more likely that I'm gonna watch it because I can just like play it in the background on my computer. So this movie I've seen like a billion times. It's the kind of thing where it's the kind of movie that like it sounds cliche, but it's a movie that spoke to a generation of people. And like not everybody's of the same age because like even my oldest sister would like this movie, would say she liked this movie, but she's 6 years older than me, so like it's kind of a different, there's a bit of a gap there. But like it's kind of like anybody who is like a Gen X person, I guess, would probably pick out one of this movie as kind of like an iconic movie of the 80s and a movie that people have seen a lot of. And I, of course, have seen a lot of it. So that's why it's in this video. The Breakfast Club is definitely on there. Next is a movie that nobody likes, except me and a few, maybe there'll be a few of you out there. But this is Dune. Um, I Dune is like a kind of a joke for a few people. I'm always trying to convince people to read Dune, and not like seriously though, only as a joke. So like I'll constantly like be in a bookstore or something, and I'll just like, hey, I got this book I'm gonna recommend to you. It's always Dune. Um, and like I haven't even read all the Dune books. Like I'm not like a super Dune fan or anything, but like I don't know. But this movie, if you've read the Dune book and you saw this movie, you're just gonna be like, okay, wait, strike that, reverse it. If you've seen this movie and then you read the Dune book, you're gonna be like, what the hell is going on? Why is this is not even remotely close. Um, this movie is, um, I like this movie. I think it's a good movie, but like it's directed by David Lynch and it's got weird David Lynch stuff in it. There it seems like like there's a whole thing that they've added to this movie, like these kind of they've like really changed the ways things like the weirding way works. Like in this, like you can like focus your words through a machine to have it come out as like a laser blast. Um, that is not in the book. That's not a thing. That's not a thing that happens in Dune in the book. I understand they're making a new Dune, but I doubt it's gonna have the same level of craziness as this Dune. Um, this Dune has like all types of things that aren't in the book. There's like the slaves of the Harkonnen have heart plugs that they can pull out so they can die immediately. That's like not in the book. That's not a thing. The uh, the weirding modules, not a thing in the book. But all of that together, it makes a very kind of weird uh, sci-fi movie that like I don't know why anybody thought like they thought this was gonna be huge because Dune is like a huge seller, right? But when this came out, and I don't know why they picked David Lynch to direct a movie for a as a something that mainstream audiences are gonna flock to. Bad directing choice. And I like David Lynch. Don't get me wrong, but like he is not the kind of person you want to go for your blockbuster sci-fi movie, and this was like basically that in the 80s, like a blockbuster sci-fi movie. And it's so good to me though. I know it's not like the book. I know it's weird, but I know it has giant exposition dumps. Like it's not there's so much that like in the book that would have to be cut out to even like make the movie remotely entertaining, that it's just like David Lynch, I feel like he just threw up his hands and was just like, I can't put all this in a movie. It's got to be 6 hours. And then like he was just like, you know what? I'm gonna make up all this weird shit and just add it in, and it's gonna be a totally different Dune. And this is my guess. I don't really know, but like that's how it is. It kind of turned out into this like weird David Lynch version of Dune, and I it's the kind of thing where like it's not a great movie, but it's the kind of thing that you I like. There's something about it that I just can't get enough of. Like I want to see I want to see David Lynch make more Dune movies. I just want him to make only Dune movies. It would be so great for me only. Like nobody else would like it, but Dune though, if you read the books, there's a lot of interesting things, but you have to be really interested in like Dune lore and like if you're reading for the first time and you're not interested in Dune lore, which is everybody, it's gonna be like rough going for some of it, for a big chunk of it, really. Um, but unless you suddenly find it interesting, but also if you read the further novels, like there's so much talk about like government and like family lines and things like you just you have to kind of like read them all in order. Like if you read Dune and then like you had to wait years for the next book to come out, and I don't think they took many years, but like there's space in between the books. Like how do you remember all that stuff? That's because I read the first three Dune books in a row, and they were like, and I like read them one after another, and I still had trouble keeping track of everything. So there's like all types of stuff. But I'm on a tangent now. Not even talking about the movie anymore. Here's another one that I doubt anybody has ever heard of. If you have heard of this movie, definitely tell me what you think about it because I think it's the kind of thing that like most people will never have heard of. But this is a John Cryer movie. It's called Morgan Stewart's Coming Home. And this is a movie about I really liked this movie as a kid because Morgan Stewart is this character who's kind of like he's just a fuck up, right? He's like really into horror movies, and he's in like a boarding school. His rich parents have sent him there, and like he gets in trouble, and he thinks he's being expelled, but his parents are coming to take him back because they're maybe his father is running for a kind of political office, and they want to have him there as like their happy family. So like the kid is there. They're like a married couple with a kid. So he has to come back to like as it's basically just like a publicity thing for their campaign, and he's like, he doesn't really want to be there because like his parents are kind of terrible, and so he has to like pretend to be good, but he's a fuck up, right? So he's just like wants to um play with horror stuff and play practical jokes and just be a goofy kid. And he gets in a lot of trouble. There's this kind of like evil handler for him that's like constantly taking on the villain role, and he's constantly being like kicked out of schools and stuff. Like he's just a kind of like a fuck up, right? Because his parents are like not caring about him. But like it's got a lot of cool stuff where he meets this girl and they're like doing this thing where they're like going to some kind of horror movie signing, and he's got all this horror memorabilia, and like they do like all these kind of weird tricks and things with like special effects from movies because like he's like really into the horror stuff. So it's kind of interesting. It's not a terribly good movie. I recognize that it's not a terribly good movie, but it's a movie that kind of like as a kid, like I just kind of felt like, yeah, I'm kind of like Morgan Stewart. I guess like that's how I'll be. Just be a fuck up who likes horror. That's kind of what I turned out to be anyway. So next we've got another movie here. This is The Stuff. Now, The Stuff is another one of those movies that I would put on before I'd go to sleep. And I should do like a whole video about This Stuff alone because like this is such a good movie, and I feel like it doesn't really do justice to talk about it without like showing clips. So maybe I'll do a whole video on This Stuff and like putting clips to like illustrate my points about why I love this movie and why it's so good. But like this movie is it's kind of like the idea is like you have one of those goofy 50s horror movies transplanted to the 80s with it's kind of a parody, but it's not like a goofy funny parody, though there are goofy funny parts to it. I mean, like the characters are all weird, right? But like you've kind of got Michael Moriarty, who is your main character, and he's giving you he delivers lines in such a good way, and the jokes, like he speaks them normally. He doesn't. There's not like a zing to it, right? He is like, this is how his character is. So like he says things that are really funny, like, but they're not, and they're intentionally funny in the script, right? But like in the situation in the movie, it's not meant to be funny, but like that's just how he is. It just turns out funny. And like he roasts people and stuff in the movie. It's great. And he'll like do things that are funny because they're clever. Like he kind of acts like he's really dumb, but he does things that are really smart, so it fools people, right? Basically pretends to be dumb, so like he gets people off their guard. He's like a saboteur, basically. And it's about a killer frozen yogurt or something. That's basically the idea of it. Like people eat it and they become possessed and eaten from the inside out. And they found out about it, him and like a kid and a lady who worked on the stuff's advertising, and a crazed paramilitary fellow played by Paul Sorvino. But yeah, this movie is so great. I'll probably do I'll do like a full review, and I'll actually edit the video and put some clips in and talk about like why this movie is so great, why you should watch this stuff. This is like a DVD I got randomly, but like I actually I have more copies of this DVD, not here in my stuff in the US, but I actually found it like a weird bootleg, not a bootleg version, but like not US release of the stuff at like a dollar store before there was a DVD in the US. Like it wasn't released, but it was released some like Canada or something, and it was like a dollar store. And I was like, this is the best movie. I love this movie so much. Gotta buy this. Okay, last movie. This is a movie. This is Beautiful Girls. It's got like Matt Dillon and like a very young Natalie Portman, and like Rosie O'Donnell, Uma Thurman. There's a bunch of people though. Like this movie, it sounds like this is kind of a drama movie, but like it's a movie that came out like when I was in high school, and I remember going to see it in the theater and thinking it was really good. So it's about these, kind of middle-aged dudes. One of them is a piano player, and the other dudes are kind of townies. They have like live in their town, and he's like living in the city as a piano player, and he comes back to the town for like their high school reunion, and he's like meeting up with his old friends and trying to figure out his life. He's like kind of having like a midlife crisis bit where he's like he's dating this woman who's great, but he's like, is she great? Is she like the person I want to marry? She's like, they do a kind of a bit in the movie where they're giving labels to like number ratings to people. So like there's like looks and like personality or whatever, and something else I don't remember, but like she ends up being like 7.5, 7.5, 7.5, 7.5 all the way across the board. So like he's thinking like, do I want to, is this who I want to be with? And she's not bad or anything. Like it's not like she's bad. He's just like unsatisfied in some way that's intangible way. He doesn't really understand why he's not satisfied. And, so he's going back, and his friends are all engaged in drama. One is like hooking up with his married ex-girlfriend from high school or whatever, and then like the other guy's like a fuck up who like is trying to like is breaking up with his girlfriend or whatever when he's there, and he's kind of an asshole, so like you don't feel bad for him, but he does stuff that's like really dumb. And like then their friend who owns a bar, like his cousin shows up, and she's like Uma Thurman, so like everybody is like in love with her. But they like have some moments. Everybody has like their moments of you know figuring things out for their life. So everybody has an arc, right? So they have to figure out what they're gonna do. How are they gonna get over these things? And the way I'm describing it probably sounds boring, but there's a lot of like good lines. Like there's a lot of funny parts that are like there's a lot of kind of good drama and interesting characters. Like Natalie Portman plays like this kind of 13-year-old girl who is his neighbor, who is like kind of the she's like really smart, and she's really funny, and she it's the kind of thing where like he kind of likes her, but like she's 13, he's like 30, and she like kind of has a crush on him, and like they have this weird thing where he's like, I could just wait 5 more years and like she would be 18. And like they're like they're making fun, they're roasting him because he's you know I don't know, it's not as bad as it sounds. He's not like saying that he should do that. Like he realizes like really quickly that's a dumb idea, it's stupid, it's not gonna work, it's not even like remotely a thing. It's just like he's like speculating about things in the future and whatever, like what he should do. And the big thing is like he's like one of the lines in the movie is that, hey, remember, you start a relationship and there's that kind of like period in the beginning where it's amazing. Like no matter what, everything is amazing. Like the relationship goes really well and things are like sparkling and great. And then as time goes on, you just kind of level out, right? Things become more routine. It's not like ever going to be as amazing as it is when you're first together. Like you don't have that same feeling. And he's like wondering like, should I like give up my relationship and just like why not have one or two more of those like amazing first periods when you're dating with someone instead of like settling down. And that's his big kind of thing. It's like it's like middle-aged people's problems, and I'm a middle-aged person, so it's kind of like it speaks to me, even though like when I was like the first time I saw it was in high school, and it still was fun to watch for me, and I really enjoyed it, and I've kind of always enjoyed it since then. So like it's a movie I've seen like a million times. Again, this is a movie that's a strange case also, because it's a movie I like to show people, but like I like to show it to them. Like this is the Japanese release, and there's a subtitled version and a dubbed version, and the subtitles actually don't help the movie. It makes it not fun to watch, and I'm saying that because like I've watched it with people and like in English with subtitles, and the subtitles kind of miss the jokes. It doesn't like really if you just have the subtitles and you don't know what the English is, like, which is basically everyone I'd be watching this with, they don't catch the jokes in the subtitles. So like you don't get the fun of the movie. You just get the basic kind of like drama of it. And it kind of makes it less good. But like by chance, like I listened to the dubbed version, and it actually does catch all the jokes. So it's not like they didn't understand. It's just like whoever did the subtitles fucked it up. Like it's not it actively made the movie worse. So like I've watched this movie in Japanese like a ton of times. It's just a movie I really enjoy, and I would really recommend watching this one, because I think probably most of you have not seen this movie. But this is a really good one. And if you speak only Japanese, you really didn't understand what I was saying. But like, somehow, if you can understand me but not this movie, like watch the dubbed version, because it makes it way better and makes it way closer to the original English than the subtitles do. So that's it. I've rambled on for 30 minutes about movies I like. But let me know what you think. Let me know what movies you've seen more than 20 times, I guess. A random number. I should have made it even more random, like 10 movies I've seen it more than 26 times or something, like just some random number. But all of those would still be in there, I'd guess. But yeah, that's it. Let me know what movies you've seen, what you would what kind of list you would have, and if you guys really like this, I can do a sequel. I can do more of these because I can talk about 10 more movies easily. This list was not curated in any way. It was like literally what was closest to my hands when I was picking stuff off the shelf. So I can make some themed ones if you guys are interested. But anyway, I will catch you guys later.